I'm Line Bjørnskov Pedersen, and this is my colleague, and Sophie. We are both health economists from Danish Center for Health Economics. I'm also employed at the General Practice Unit, and then also affiliated here with you, Nikos, and thank you for the invitation to come here today. We work, both of us, with motivation and the link between motivation and physician behavior, and that's what we're going to tell you a bit about today. But I think you would like to present yourself as well.
Hi, I'm Sophie Oxholm. I'm an associate professor, also at Danish Center for Health Economics at the Faculty of Health Sciences. I am very interested in how behavior, like Line, is providers' behavior is affected by different types of incentives. Particularly, I've been looking at how they respond to different financial incentives, how that may affect behavior, and I've been working with Sibylla here in the audience about that topic as well. I also teach courses in how providers behave, and have done health economics research for more than 10 years.
Mm-hmm. Some of the things that we are interested in these years is, as I mentioned, physician motivation. And the motivation that we are looking into is the motivation that is mentioned up here. So it's the self-centered motivation, extrinsic and intrinsic motivation, and then pro-social motivation as user orientation and public service motivation. And since 2017, we've been collecting data yearly from all Danish GPs on their motivation. In the first 2 years, we measured only the intrinsic motivation, but from 2019, we also measured the other types of motivation. So we now have a panel of 6 years where we have been measuring Danish GPs' motivation. And that is what we're using in our research. And to give you a few examples of what we are working with, these are some of the things we have either been doing or are doing at the moment. So, for example, we have been studying whether external interventions can crowd in rather than crowd out intrinsic motivation, and we found out that they can, at least among some providers they can. Then we were interested in what is the link between intrinsic motivation and burnout, also in connection with external interventions. And we found that the most intrinsically motivated providers, they're actually less burned out, but when they're exposed to external interventions, they're in the risk of burning out to a greater extent than their colleagues. Then we have a study looking at general practitioners' motivation, where we are trying to map the motivation and see if we can identify different segments of motivational profiles, and we can, and we also find some segments where we see that it's not just about the money, it's also about altruism and the other types of motivation. We have that as a working paper now, and the paper in itself is in review. And then we're also looking into the dynamics of motivation, whether it's stable or whether it's changing over time.
And one thing is mapping motivation. Another thing is, can we actually see behavioral changes? So what we've done is we have extensive knowledge about the Danish healthcare registers. We've linked these motivational profiles to the GP's actual provision of care. And we do find a link. We find that the ones that are highly extrinsically motivated, they provide more services. We find the ones that are altruistic, they tend to prescribe a larger share of drugs that are of high demand from patients. We also find that they more often treat patients that are in high need of care. So we do find some interesting links between motivational profiles and their actual behavior. And we've dig much more into this by also looking at how do providers respond to different external interventions using these health registers and seeing how large a part of these responses can be attributed to their motivational profiles. We have nice data measuring, and we're right now looking into their responses under COVID-19. Of course, some is demand driven, but some may also be supply driven and driven by these motivational profiles. So this is quite exciting research we're doing right at the moment. And we are also exploiting a lot of changes to their remuneration schemes, how their contracts have changed over time, how their responses to these changes may be explained by motivational profiles.
Next
Just
slide.
change them to the next slide. So potential for collaboration, we're very excited to be here today because we think there's a lot of scope for collaboration with you guys. What we can bring to the table is we have a lot of knowledge about how to conduct quantitative analysis, survey, analyze, get access to survey data. We have extensive experience with working with these large registers, healthcare registers, where we can actually look at their behavior, providers' behavior. We also have some experience with working with lab experiments. But what we're lacking is we want more knowledge on the underlying motivational theories, putting that into play into our research. And we think that that could be scope for collaboration here with you guys. We're also very interested in collaborating in terms of applying for funding, if there could be some interesting EU grants to apply for. We're very open-minded. Yeah.
Yeah. And I guess that's it.
That's it from us.